Hey everybody, this is a quick video to show you how to use the laser. And this video is really going to be the overview of getting a PDF created from Inventor. Okay, that is step one. And how we get that PDF created in Inventor, there's a couple slightly different ways to do it, but in the end, we end up at a drawing, we export as a PDF, and then once you have a PDF of what you want to laser, the next video will show you how to set up Illustrator and run the laser actually, okay? So with that, let me show you how to get PDFs made with Inventor so that we can laser. All right, so jumping back to Inventor here, there's two kind of main ways to do this. You're gonna either model what you want to laser. So here I got a Captain America shield, and I drew my circle and made that first, and then I sketched on the surface and got my rings and my star all defined. And I'm just kind of one that I kind of want to, it's an okay preview, but would really be nice if I could darken in where the laser might be burning to help me see that. And you can change surface colors by left clicking on them. And I'm actually going to hold the shift key and highlight all these surfaces. And then I'll right click and go properties. And I'm going to change the appearance to rubber black. And I just know from experience that's a good kind of a good color that doesn't have any glossy look to it, just to show you what that might look like then once it's engraved. Just a little easier to see. It actually kind of previews what we have to do in a drawing here shortly. So okay, so you've done your work to prep your part, get the engraving to look the way you want as a part model. Now we're ready to document that. So we go over to an IDW file, and I just pre-started this to save a little time, file new, all that stuff. And it doesn't matter which one you pick, because actually as soon as you open this up and change it, and this one's a B size, but you're going to delete the border and title block. So right click delete up there, right click delete, because whatever is on the piece of paper would get lasered. If I leave the border and title block, it would all get lasered out down the road, and we don't want that. All right, so I got a nice blank piece of paper here. We're going to go base view. There's Captain America shield. It's a 1:1 scale, and you actually have the chance, I guess you could resize it at this point if you wanted, but usually you model everything the way you want. So I click OK, and then this is the view I have. I'm just going to move it up in the corner a little bit, because if this is my piece of material, wood or plastic, that I'm lasering, I want to work in the corners and not just cut holes out of the middle of things. This looks good, except I need to darken in those areas again where I want to engrave the black to make that shield look right. So what you have to do is click on the view. There, I always try to click specifically right on the dotted line, the dotted box around the view, and press the S key. And so we clicked on the view to highlight and select it, and I press S for sketch to assign a sketch to that view. And I know the sketch belongs to the view because it's centered on that view box. Now once I'm in here, I go to project geometry, I drag a box around everything, and I right click OK. That lets me reference all that information, and now I can use hatch region to fill in areas. And don't worry about it, I'll change the pattern in a minute. Change the areas that I want to laser engrave black. And be slow with your selection sometimes. It takes it a second to snap where it wants to fill. And if you ever have issues where it won't select, just hover for like a couple seconds, use the drop arrow, and make your other selection. And once everything's selected that I want, I'm going to change my pattern to solid. And you probably could have changed that right away, I guess. And then I'm going to change the color, make sure it is set to black. That's good. And there we go. And okay, we're done with that tool, and finish sketch. And there you have it. Your base view of your real part is now shaded in where you want it to engrave. We can worry about line weights in a little bit, but we need very, very thin line weights where I want to cut it, which on this edge I'm going to cut. And everything else just gets engraved to mark it out. Okay, so that's one way, and then from here I would go File, Export, PDF, and save it where I need to. So that's one way. You actually make the parts, you model the parts, or all the parts and pieces you need to build an assembly or some real object you're making. Maybe it's a little box that would look like, I have a few examples here. Maybe it's a little box that looks like this, where you'd model every individual part. You build the assembly to make sure it's going together the way you want. You know, we practice virtually so we don't waste the material when we actually make it. But then you need to do a base view of each part, unless some of these sides are the same the way they fit together. You would make a base view for each one and laser out every piece out. And of course, some things could be way more complicated like this. You know, you'd have lots of parts and pieces, but again, that's why modeling in Inventor is really important and very useful. But sometimes you have something very simple like this, a Mickey Mouse head. And what do we do in scenario? Now, do you really have to model that part first? And the answer is no. Let me show you that example. If you just have a quick, simple object, or I mean, even if it's going to be like a name or a sign or a plaque, what you can actually do is, when you're on a blank piece of paper, press just S on the keyboard, and now you have a sketch that belongs to that sheet of paper, and you can just start drawing. And that's a little bit different than how the sketch belonged to the view on that Captain America shield. So what I did to save a little bit of time is I drew the Avenger logo in this sketch that belonged to this piece of paper, and I used dimensions and everything you can see to make it look right. I can go in here and hatch region again too, and I can fill this all in. Give it the solid look, black, okay, and yep, I like the logo. I hit finish sketch, and go and see all the dimensions go away and everything. So it's nice. I mean, it is handy just to sketch on here as well sometimes. I want this box on purpose around the logo because I'm actually going to convert this to a thin line weight so it cuts, and I'll have this cool little plaque of the Avengers when I'm done. So again, if I sketch on the sheet of paper and I get the logo or the name or whatever it is I want, and everything looks great, you just File, Export, PDF, and again, that's all step one of getting to the laser. The next video will show you how to run Illustrator with the PDFs that you just created. So jump over to that one, and I'll see you in a bit.